Your body just feels heavy with exhaustion. Your mind is a storm of worries that won't stop. And your heart just aches with a pain that doesn't seem to have a name or an end. You look at the pieces of your life, your relationships, your career, your health, your faith, and it feels like it's all falling apart. You're not sure how much longer you can hold on. Maybe you're not sure if you even want to. If that's you today, if you feel unseen in your struggle, unheard in your cries, I want you to know this message is for you. This isn't just another video. Think of it as an invitation to discover an ancient promise, a song written thousands of years ago in the depths of a very similar despair. It's a reminder that no storm lasts forever, and that even in the rubble of what was, something beautiful, something stronger, can be built. You are not alone in this. That feeling that the very ground underneath you is giving way is a deeply human experience. But what if this collapse is actually the foundation for your greatest construction? What if the breaking is really a breakthrough in disguise? Stay with me. Let's walk through this together. There's an anchor for your soul in this storm, a song of hope that has echoed through generations, and it's waiting for you to hear it right now. Let's be honest for a moment about what it truly feels like when everything seems to fall apart. It's more than just a bad day or a rough week. It's a whole season of unraveling. It feels like a total system failure, where every single pillar you've been leaning on starts to crack all at once. Physically, it's a deep, bone-weary exhaustion that sleep just can't fix. It's the tension you carry in your shoulders, the ache in your back, the constant, low-grade headache that comes from a mind that will not shut off. It's the way your breath catches in your chest when another wave of anxiety hits. Your own body can feel like a stranger, a vessel carrying a weight that's simply too heavy. You might look in the mirror and not even recognize the tired eyes staring back at you, eyes that have seen too much and cried too much. Mentally, it's a relentless siege. You're stuck on that hamster wheel of what-ifs and if-onlys. You're replaying every mistake, every wrong turn, every word you wish you could take back. The future, which might have once looked bright and full of possibility, now just looks like a dense, thick fog. You try to think, to plan, to find a way out, but your thoughts are scattered and fragmented. Concentration feels like a luxury you just can't afford. The simplest decisions feel monumental. The world talks about mindset and thinking positive, but your mind feels like a war zone, and you feel like you're losing the battle for peace inside your own head. Emotionally, it's a chaotic symphony of feelings, or sometimes a terrifying numbness. It's the sharp sting of grief for the life you thought you'd have. It's the hot shame of what feels like failure. It's the cold dread of loneliness, the feeling that no one could possibly get the depth of your pain. It's the frustration and anger at your circumstances, at others, maybe even at God. You might feel like you're on a pendulum, swinging wildly from overwhelming sadness to a strange, unsettling apathy where you feel nothing at all. That numbness can be the scariest part, the silence where your passion used to be, the emptiness where your hope once lived. And spiritually, this is often the deepest collapse of all. The faith that once felt like a solid rock now feels like shifting sand. You cry out, but your prayers seem to hit the ceiling and fall right back down unheard. You read the promises, but they feel like empty words, written for someone else, for a different time. You might start to question everything you believe. Where is God in this? Does he see? Does he even care? This spiritual desolation is a unique kind of darkness, a sense of being utterly and completely alone in the universe. This is what it feels like to fall apart. It's not one thing, it's everything. It's the feeling of being a building whose foundations have been shaken, whose walls are crumbling, whose roof has been torn off, leaving you exposed to a raging storm. It's a terrifying, disorienting, and deeply painful place to be. And it's from this exact place, this place of total collapse, that our journey begins. Because it's only when we admit the full extent of the damage that we can start to search for a real and lasting source of restoration. When you're sitting in the middle of that wreckage, in the dust of your former life, the last thing you need is a platitude, not a simple chin up or a "this too shall pass." You need something real, something that has been tested in the fires of human suffering and has come out not just intact, but stronger. You need a lifeline. That lifeline exists, and it's not some new idea or a modern self-help technique. It's an ancient song, a poem written by a man who knew the anatomy of falling apart intimately. His name was David, a shepherd who became a king, a warrior who became a fugitive, a man of great faith who also made great mistakes. He was a man who experienced the highest highs and the lowest lows. He knew what it was like to have his world crumble, threatened by enemies, betrayed by friends, and even disciplined by the God he loved. And in one of his darkest moments, after being brought back from the brink of what felt like death itself, he didn't just write in a journal. He composed a song of dedication, a song of remembrance, a song of transformation. We know it today as Psalm 30. This isn't just a nice poem. Think of it as a blueprint for reconstruction. It's a testimony passed down for 3,000 years from a soul who was in the pit to yours. It's a song that says, "I've been where you are, I've felt the ground give way, I've cried out into the silence, but I am here to tell you that's not the end of the story." Psalm 30 is a journey in 12 short verses. It starts in the If this content blesses you and you'd like to support our mission, you can buy me a coffee or give a super thanks. Every contribution helps us create more content to inspire and uplift others. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future. The depths acknowledges the pain, recounts the desperate cry for help, and then, verse by verse, it climbs out of the darkness and into the light. It holds one of the most powerful and hope-filled promises in all of Scripture, a promise that has been a beacon for countless souls navigating their own dark nights. This psalm doesn't ignore the pain. It doesn't pretend the night of weeping isn't real. In fact, it validates it. It gives space for the sorrow, the fear, the desperation, but it does not end there. It moves from despair to deliverance, from mourning to dancing, from silence to a song of praise. It gives us a roadmap for how God can take the very thing that was meant to destroy you and turn it into a testimony of His faithfulness. So I invite you to lean in, to quiet the storm in your mind for just a few moments and listen to this ancient melody of hope. Let's walk through this psalm together, not as a historical text, but as a living, breathing word for you, right here, right now, in the middle of your own story. Let's discover the powerful promise of transformation it holds. We're going to walk through this psalm piece by piece. I want to encourage you to see this not as a study, but as a conversation with the psalmist and with God. Let's let these ancient words diagnose our pain and prescribe the divine remedy. The psalm doesn't start with a complaint. It starts with a declaration of praise, one that's rooted in something God has already done. David writes, "I will exalt you, Lord, for you lifted me out of the depths and did not let my enemies gloat over me. Lord my God, I called to you for help, and you healed me. You, Lord, brought me up from the realm of the dead. You spared me from going down to the pit." Let's break this down. The first thing David does is remember. Before he details any new trouble, he starts with, "I will praise you because you've done it before." He says, "You lifted me out of the depths." The word for depths here isn't just a shallow puddle, it's the abyss. It's that place where you feel like you are drowning, with no bottom to stand on and no light from above. It's the pit of despair, sickness, or failure. This is the language of someone who has been completely submerged in trouble. And notice the action, "You lifted me up." It's an act of rescue. David didn't claw his way out. He didn't find some hidden ladder. He was lifted. It was a divine intervention. When you feel like you are at the absolute bottom, the first step toward hope is to remember. Remember any time that God has shown up for you. It might have been a small grace, a moment of peace, a provision you didn't expect. Faith is often built on the memory of past faithfulness. When you can't see a future, look back. See the evidence of God's hand in your past. This builds a foundation of trust. He continues, "I called to you for help and you healed me." This is so important. The healing came after the call. It shows us a critical part of the process. We have to cry out. Sometimes we're so broken we think we need to fix ourselves a little before we can approach God. We want to clean up the mess before inviting Him in. But David shows us the opposite. He cried out from the middle of his brokenness, from the depths of his sickness, and that's where the healing began. Your cry for help is not a sign of weak faith. It's an act of profound faith. It is you saying, "I can't do this, but I believe you can." Finally, he uses the most dramatic language possible. "You brought me up from the realm of the dead, spared me from going down to the pit." This isn't just poetry. To David, the situation was a matter of life and death. He felt his life force ebbing away. Everything was so bleak. that it felt like the grave was opening its mouth for him. Have you ever felt that way? So emotionally, spiritually, or physically depleted that it feels like an ending. This psalm says that even from there, from the very edge of the abyss, God can pull you back. No situation is too far gone. No pit is too deep for his reach. This opening is a powerful testimony. God is a God of rescue. He is a healer. He is a restorer of life. After remembering his own rescue, David immediately turns and invites others into the experience. This is what happens when we experience true grace. We can't keep it to ourselves. He says, "Sing the praises of the Lord, you his faithful people, praise his holy name. For his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning." This is the heart of the psalm. This is the promise that has carried millions through their darkest hours. Let's look at the first part. For his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. David is talking about the seasons of life under God. He acknowledges that there are times of difficulty, times that can feel like divine discipline or anger, but David puts this in a radical perspective. He says that season is just a moment. It's temporary. In contrast, God's favor, his goodwill, his love, his life-giving presence is for a lifetime. Think of it like this. A storm can be fierce, with dark clouds and thunder. It can feel all-encompassing, but the sun is always there. The storm is a temporary event. The sun is a permanent star. David is saying God's anger is the storm, but his favor is the sun. Don't mistake the temporary weather for the permanent reality of his love. And then comes that immortal line, "Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning." Let's just sit with this. He doesn't say, "Don't weep." He doesn't say the night isn't real. He validates the experience of sorrow. Weeping may endure, it may settle in, like an unwelcome guest who has come to stay for the night. The night in the Bible is a powerful metaphor for confusion, fear, sorrow, and trial. It's the time when our fears are magnified and hope seems so far away. David is saying, yes, there will be nights. There will be seasons of deep weeping where all you can do is cry. But then comes the pivot, the promise, but rejoicing comes in the morning. This isn't a maybe, it's a certainty. The morning will come. Just as surely as the earth turns and the sun rises, the season of your sorrow will end. The word for rejoicing here isn't just mild happiness, it's a ringing cry of joy, a shout of victory. This promise reframes our suffering. It tells us that our pain has an expiration date. It might feel like it will last forever, but it is confined to the night. This doesn't mean all your problems will magically vanish at sunrise. It's a spiritual principle. It means the season of darkness is finite, and a season of light and joy is divinely appointed to follow. Holding on to this promise during your night of weeping is an act of defiant faith. It is lighting a candle in the darkness, believing in the sun even when you can't see it. Now this is where David gets brutally honest. He doesn't just paint a picture of a perfect saint who suffered unjustly. He reveals his own part in his downfall, a moment of pride. He confesses, "When I felt secure, I said, I will never be shaken. Lord, when you favored me, you made my royal mountain stand firm, but when you hid your face, I was dismayed." This is one of the most relatable and humbling parts of the psalm. David admits that when things were going well, when his kingdom was strong and his life was stable, he started to get a little too comfortable. He looked at his success, his mountain, and thought it was his own doing. He said, "I will never be shaken." That's the voice of human pride. It's that subtle shift from relying on God to relying on our own strength, our bank account, our status, or our health. We've all been there. When the job is secure and the family is healthy, it's easy to think we've got it all under control. We forget that every good thing is a gift. We forget that our mountain stands firm not because of our own efforts, but because of God's favor. David's confession is a warning to us. Prosperity can be a greater spiritual test than adversity. And then comes the consequence. God, in his love, had to remind David where his security truly came from. David says, "But when you hid your face, I was dismayed." When God hid his face, it doesn't mean he left. It means he withdrew the feeling of his presence, the tangible sense of his blessing. Suddenly, the mountain that felt so firm began to tremble. David's sense of security was shattered. He was dismayed, which means he was terrified, thrown into confusion and panic. This shows us that sometimes the The things that fall apart in our lives are the very things we have built on a foundation of pride. Sometimes, God allows our self-made mountains to be shaken so that we will return to Him, the only unshakable rock. It's a painful but necessary mercy. If you're in a season of falling apart, it's worth asking with a humble heart, Lord, have I been relying on my own mountain? Have I been saying, I will never be shaken? This moment of self-reflection isn't about self-condemnation. It's about realignment. It's about turning back to the true source of our strength. Having been humbled and thrown into dismay, what does David do? He goes back to the one thing he knows works, prayer. But this isn't a polite, polished prayer. This is the raw, desperate cry of a man on the edge. He recounts his prayer. To you, Lord, I called. To the Lord I cried for mercy. What is gained if I am silenced, if I go down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it proclaim your faithfulness? Hear, Lord, and be merciful to me. Lord, be my helper. This is a fascinating prayer. David is basically making his case to God. He's arguing for his own survival based on God's own character. He asks, what good am I to you dead? Can a pile of dust sing your praises? If you let me die, you lose a worshipper. On one level, this might sound a little audacious, but on a deeper level, it's an incredible display of faith. David's argument is rooted in his understanding that God's ultimate desire is to be glorified. He's aligning his own desire to live with God's desire to be praised. He's saying, God, my purpose here is to praise you. If you save me, I will fulfill that purpose. Keeping me alive is in your best interest. This teaches us something profound about prayer in our darkest moments. We can be completely honest with God. We can bring our arguments, our desperation, our whys, and we can appeal to His character. We can pray things like, God, you are a God of restoration. Restore my marriage so it can be a testament to your power. Or, God, you are a healer. Heal my body so I can have more years to serve you. This isn't about trying to twist God's arm. It's about showing that our desire is not just for our own comfort, but for His glory to be revealed through our situation. And the prayer ends with a simple, powerful plea, Hear, Lord, and be merciful to me, Lord, be my helper. After all the arguments, it comes down to this, a simple cry for mercy and help. This is the prayer that God always hears. When we come to the end of our own strength and simply say, Be my helper, the entire force of heaven is ready to move on our behalf. And that brings us to the glorious conclusion of the psalm. This is the result of David's journey through pain, pride, and prayer. He declares the miraculous exchange that God has performed in his life. You turned my wailing into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy, that my heart may sing your praises and not be silent. Lord my God, I will praise you forever. This is the end game. This is the final destination. Notice the active role of God. You turned, you removed, you clothed. David didn't just decide to feel better one day. God himself performed a divine transformation. He took his wailing, the loud, unrestrained cry of grief, and turned it into dancing. Dancing is the physical expression of uncontainable joy. It's a full-body celebration. This isn't just sadness stopping, it's an explosion of delight. He took his sackcloth and removed it. Sackcloth was a rough, uncomfortable garment made of goat's hair, worn as an outward sign of deep mourning or repentance. It was the uniform of his grief. And what did God replace it with? He clothed him with joy. Joy is presented here not just as an emotion, but as a garment. Something you wear, something that covers you, that defines you. God doesn't just give you moments of joy, He wants to clothe you in it. And what's the purpose of this incredible transformation? David tells us, that my heart may sing your praises and not be silent. The joy isn't the end goal. The praise is. God restores us so our lives become a song of His goodness. He turns our mourning into dancing so He can show the world what He is capable of. Your story of restoration is never just for you. It becomes a beacon of hope for others who are still in their night of weeping. Your healed scar becomes a map for someone else. The psalm ends with a vow, a commitment from a grateful heart. Lord my God, I will praise you forever. The journey that began with the feeling of death ends with a promise of eternal praise. The transformation is complete. The broken pieces haven't just been put back together, they've been remade into a masterpiece of grace that glorifies the artist. This is the promise of Psalm 30. It is the journey He offers to you right now. Understanding this beautiful psalm is one thing, but living it is another. How do we take this ancient song and make it the soundtrack of our own lives, especially when we are still in the middle of the night? It requires intentional practice. Here are 3 practical ways to start living out Psalm 30. First, practice gratitude like it's a weapon. David begins and ends his psalm with praise and thanksgiving. This isn't just a nice sentiment, it's a spiritual weapon. When you're surrounded by darkness and your mind is filled with everything that is wrong, gratitude is an act of war against despair. It's a conscious decision to shift your focus from the pain of your circumstances to the character of your God. And what's amazing is that modern science has caught up to this ancient truth. Numerous studies show that a regular practice of gratitude can reduce stress and depression and increase happiness and resilience. It literally rewires your brain to look for the good. So how do you practice this? Start small. Get a notebook and every single day, write down 3 things you are grateful for. They don't have to be monumental. I'm grateful for the warmth of the sun today. I'm grateful for my morning coffee. I'm grateful for a friend who sent a kind text. When you force your mind to search for these small pockets of grace, you begin to train it to see that God's favor is still present, even in the hardship. You are actively pushing back against the lie that everything is bad. You're building an arsenal of praise. Second, remember and retell your story. In the first few verses, David's confidence is built on remembering what God had already done. We have to do the same. Your history with God is one of your most powerful assets. The enemy wants you to have spiritual amnesia. He wants you to forget every time God has provided, healed, guided, or comforted you in the past. Your job is to become a historian of your own life's journey with God. Take some time, maybe with that same journal, and write down your Psalm 30 moments. Write down the stories of your past rescues, the time you were worried sick about a bill and the money came through, the time you got a difficult diagnosis but found an inner strength you never knew you had, the time a relationship ended and you thought your heart would never heal, but it did. These stories are your proof. They are evidence that the God who lifted you from the depths before can and will do it again. When a new storm hits and you feel your faith wavering, you can go back and read these testimonies. You can say to yourself, the God who did it then is the same God I am praying to now. He hasn't changed. Sharing these stories with trusted friends also amplifies their power. Your testimony can become the lifeline someone else needs. Third, make hope a discipline. The promise, joy comes in the morning, is the anchor of Psalm 30. But holding onto that hope during the long, dark night is a discipline. Hope isn't a passive, wistful feeling. It is an active, conscious choice. How do we discipline ourselves to hope? We do it by aligning our words and thoughts with God's promises, even when our feelings scream the opposite. It means when you're tempted to say, "This will never end," you choose to declare, "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." When you feel like, "I am completely alone," you choose to declare, "The Lord is my helper." This is not a denial of your feelings. You can be honest about your pain. "Lord, I feel hopeless right now." But you follow it with a declaration of faith. "But your word says you are the God of hope, and I choose to trust you." It also means finding tangible symbols of hope. It might be lighting a candle each morning as a prayer for the light to return. It might be planting a small seed in a pot, a physical reminder that life can come from being buried in darkness. It might be putting on worship music that proclaims the victory of God. This discipline of hope is what allows you to endure the night without being consumed by it. It is you participating in your own restoration, hand in hand with the God who turns mourning into dancing. Now, if you're willing, I want to lead you in a prayer. You don't need to have the right words. You don't need to feel strong. You can be in the darkest part of your night. Just find a quiet space. You can close your eyes if you're comfortable and just let these words become your own prayer. Let this be your cry for help. Lord my God, I come to you now just as I am. You see the pieces of my life scattered all around me. You see the exhaustion in my body, the worry in my mind, and the deep, aching pain in my heart. I feel like I am in the depths, in the pit, and I don't have the strength to climb out. Everything feels like it's falling apart. But like David, I choose to call on you. I am crying out to you for help. Lord, hear my cry. You are the one who lifts us from the depths. You've done it before, And I am asking you, Lord, do it again. Heal me. Heal the broken places in my heart, heal the weariness in my body, and bring peace to my tormented mind. Please spare me from this pit of despair. Father, I confess that there have been times I have trusted in my own strength, in my own mountain of security. I confess my pride. Forgive me. I acknowledge today that you alone are my rock, you alone are my firm foundation. Everything I have is a gift from you. So I ask for your mercy. Lord, be my helper. I can't do this alone. I'm handing you the shattered pieces of my life. I'm giving you my season of weeping, this long, dark night. I place it all in your hands. And I choose to believe your promise. I choose to believe that your favor is for a lifetime, and this trouble is only for a moment. I choose to believe that even though I'm weeping now, joy is coming in the morning. Lord, perform your miracle of transformation in me. Turn my wailing into dancing. Remove this heavy garment of sorrow and clothe me with your joy. Do this, Father, so that my heart can sing your praises and not be silent. Let my life become a testament to your redeeming power. Let my story bring hope to others. In the midst of this storm, I will look for you. In the darkness, I will wait for your dawn. Thank you for hearing my prayer. Thank you for being the God who never fails. Amen. We've walked through the depths together. We've journeyed through the ancient words of Psalm 30, from a cry of despair to a shout of joy. We've sat with the pain of the night and held onto the promise of the morning. The message of this psalm is not that life will be free of pain. It's not that our mountains will never be shaken. The promise is that the night is not the final chapter. The weeping is not the end of the story. The falling apart is not your final state. God is a master artist, and he specializes in taking broken fragments and creating beautiful mosaics. He is a master composer, and he specializes in taking the sound of our wailing and turning it into a symphony of praise. Your story is not over. The God who lifted David from the pit, the God who turned his mourning into dancing, is your God too. He sees you right now. He hears your cry, and he has a morning of rejoicing prepared specifically for you. It may not come on your timeline, but it will come. His promise is true. If this message has touched your heart today, if it has been a small candle of hope in your darkness, I'd ask you to do 3 things. First, subscribe to this channel. We are a community of people walking this journey of faith together, and we would love for you to be a part of it. Second, share this video with someone you know who might be going through their own night of weeping. You never know how a single message of hope can change someone's life. And last, I want you to make a declaration of faith right there in the comments below. I want you to claim the promise for yourself. Write, "My morning is coming." Let's fill this space with a chorus of hope, a collective testament that we believe in the God who turns our mourning into dancing. Remember, no matter how deep the pit, his arm is not too short to save. No matter how long the night, his dawn is on the way. Hold on, your morning is coming.
This book is your beginner's guide to understanding Scripture. Find peace, build relationships, and discover purpose in today's world. Ready to decode the Bible? Find Bible Decoded available on Amazon now.
If this content blesses you and you'd like to support our mission, you can buy me a coffee or give a super thanks. Every contribution helps us create more content to inspire and uplift others. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future videos.